Live, we're live. We're live, we're live, we're live, we're live. We're live, and we're gonna draw today. We're live on Draw the Fantasy. There's plenty for you and me. You coming to say bye before you head out?
To say bye.
Hey everybody! Hello, Michael Harbour and Emily C. Martin. We're live. We're live. Got the Gurgoyle and Eleanor West and Brennan Powers. Let's not forget Heidi Thorley and Avery Wells. And Brennan Power again.
But yes, Emily C. Martin. Do you need me to change the music key?
No, I think
got
I've got
all
it
this?
figured out. I'm flying solo. Angela's saying hi and bye. She and Sophia here holding a tiny onion that she found. Not to be... This is what the hairs on my back look like when you pull them out.
Ew.
That's like an Italian back hair. You guys are going to go deliver flowers, yes?
Okay, so we have a special thing, and I have to let you guys know we are heading out today, or Soph and I are heading out today. The other day, actually Mother's Day, Sophia made me the most gorgeous flower arrangement. I
She
posted
did.
on
It was
my
very
Facebook
nice.
page. My Facebook page. I put it on there, and a lot of people thought it was like a professional arrangement.
Well, it was.
It was a professional.
It is now, because she's getting...
Oh, impressive. And so Soph said, what if we did a fundraiser to raise money for her barn where she rides at, which has been closed, but they still need to care for the animals. So she said, what if I made flower arrangements and we sold them and delivered them? So we are going to deliver about 10 flower arrangements to people locally who ordered them, and they look amazing.
Awesome. Well, have fun, guys. Good luck.
All right.
And I'm going to get drawing. Should be able to take questions. Maybe you guys will make it back before the hour. Who knows? Otherwise, you'll be here for sure tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Sounds good.
Wi-Fi's bad for Andrea. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
I don't know. I normally get
All right.
a signal thing that says if the signal's dragging. I'm not getting that right now, and no one's on the computer except for me. So it could be your area. I'm returning to MerMay today, only because I got work done. If you had tuned in on Monday, we were working on this, which is going to be the sleeve art for a box set for Kenny and the Dragon and the new book, Kenny and the Book of Beasts, that'll be out this fall. We worked on the sketch last week. You may have joined us and saw the movie posters, and we looked at compositions. And on Monday, we started putting tones and value in here to kind of get a sense of how this thing's going to look. You can see I've added a little bit of typography with the art director. And from there, we got a final approval on the sketch. And I've gone ahead, this is a little bit of a dark print, but you'll get an idea. I went ahead and started putting some color in so that I've got a little bit of a roadmap. Like I said, the printer printed it a little dark, but it's all there. So I'm very excited about that, but I got it all done. Hold on. Sorry, I had to turn the music down. It went to like a strange opera station. Anyway, I got it all done, and I'll start painting it maybe as early as tomorrow. But in the meantime, I've been thinking about MerMay, and I've been thinking about some of the sketches. We did a few sketches last week of mermaids. I have a few of them. Some of them I sent away as junk pots. Some I held on to. Here's another one here. That one was good. I was doing these as warm-ups. Here's some warm-ups. And we were using my old Dover book. And over the weekend, I wanted to draw some more. I had one that I drew that had been on the drawing board that I hadn't quite finished, and I was kind of tinkering with this one over the weekend. So she's got some markings and spots to kind of create it, and then she's got the long tendrils. So I was kind of playing with this one. I was feeling pretty good. And you know what I was thinking about was, I was actually thinking about the pose and how boring it was. And I thought if you guys are doing MerMay drawings as well, maybe we could, I could show you some of the things that I think might be helpful for you. What I did, I wanted to get something more interesting. So here's another MerMay drawing that I did on Saturday, I think, Saturday or Sunday at the kitchen table I was drawing. And this, I realized I wanted to have a really cool pose. And this is the pose that I use. Now, I Googled underwater dancers. I remember seeing photographs of a variety of dancers holding poses underwater and how beautiful these photographs were. And I thought this would be really cool to use as reference for the figure for mermaids. Now, huge caveat before we go any further down this road. These are exercise only. So this is for my own personal learning how to draw a figure, refining a drawing of a figure. If I was going to do a drawing and publish it in a book, I couldn't use this photograph. I'd have to either buy the rights from the photographer, or I'd have to get someone to pose for me in a pool. So all that said, we're just going to use these as exercise, models for exercise only, not for profit. And so that's kind of what we're doing here. So they're just really about kind of creating exercises and ways to think. And I just thought the body is it's different when the body is weightless in the water. And so I thought about that, and I thought about these underwater dancers. I will say if you're a family or you have children and they want to participate, you might want to put your safe search on, depending on your levels of artistic nudity, for lack of a better word, because sometimes you may get dancers wearing their leotards and you might not. But I found a couple just unbelievable, like they already want to be mermaids. Look at this. The flow, the light is just inspiring. So just look at that. So cool and so inspiring about thinking about the movement. It also made me wonder, I don't know if I would ever draw a mermaid now with gills. I almost love the idea that they are mammals possibly, and that they do have to come up for air. They may have like incredible lungs and they can hold their breath for long periods of time like a whale or a dolphin. But I love the idea of a mermaid having to surface from time to time to get air. So we're going to do some warm-up sketches inspired by these incredible photos of underwater dancers. And as I said before, these are merely for exercise and sketching only. None of this is to be sold for profit, so I'm not making any money using these sketches. I wouldn't want a photographer to feel like I'm taking advantage of all their artistic vision, because there's so much work that goes into a photo like this. So what I'm looking at, what's great here is I can look at the skull and the angle of the skull, and necks and the muscles here, extension of the arm, the chest. Her center line is a little more here. Here's her ribs and her rib cage, and you can start to see her waist. Now you lose some, like her, because she has so much on. I know enough that I could probably draw the rest of her in, like her other leg's probably here. I'm guessing her stomach is here. This is probably her backside, and then this is probably what she's doing underwater. But since we're turning them into fish, that's going to help a lot. So I'm going to just start by doing almost like a stick figure. Here's the other thing I love. The hands, what the hands are doing is so inspiring. Although that's kind of weird with the one. It looks like a finger's pointing. I think it could be, actually. She has one finger pointing It looks a little odd. I might change that. But the idea of these hands kind of moving through the water, I thought was incredibly inspiring as well. So I'm going to try to kind of capture. First of all, what I love is this movement right here, and I just want to capture that. And then you almost have this again. It's just it's very buoyant, both of these forms. And then the head's here, and such a dancer, right? So I'm just kind of warming up with this kind of gesture and this stick figure. And I'm just thinking about this. I might not even have enough room, although it'd be interesting to kind of bring the whole thing, like push it even further. You could even do that. I'm tight on room here. I'm gonna try it again, just a little small. There's a face on that one. I'm gonna try it again a little smaller, just to get it to fit. So let's do the same thing. So move, head, keeping that buoyant shape. Yeah, this is much easier. I got a little more room to work with. Chest, hips are about here. So you can see it's really just a stick figure with the chest. And because my illustration tends to have exaggeration in it, you know, the head's going to be a little larger than it normally would be. Now, if this was for an accurate, like say, the Spiderwick field guide, where I really want these to look as accurate as possible, I might, you know, make sure that all the proportions are a little more anatomically accurate. So you can see I'm adding a little bit of the body and the muscling here, just a little bit, just to kind of see. But when it's still a stick figure, it's a lot easier to kind of find the line. Look at it. I bet the hand is going to go right off the darn page. And then we've got the tail, which I do like the idea of it kind of coming around. And even where the leg would have been, it might be interesting to do fins. Now her hair looks almost like gravity has worked is working, and it's pulling her hair down instead of making it appear like it's floating. So I'm going to just look at some of my others. Like this is just you get a nice sense of, she does look like she's about to surface Penny. There's another one. You get the idea of that hair kind of floating around. So I'm going to do some floating hair. There's a real opportunity I could even repeat this movement if I wanted to, or I could invert the movement here if I wanted to with her hair. So to show you, like, we could do her hair kind of doing this if we wanted to, or if we want to follow that movement, you know, we can kind of do something like that with her hair. So it's just really ways to kind of accentuate the movement. In the photograph, you can indicate the movement. So here, someone had even said it looks like she's surfacing, and that would cause the hair to blow back, right? So down and back, which is maybe why it's doing what it's doing. So you could use the hair, if you wanted to create that kind of movement of which way she's actually swimming. And if you don't want her to be weightless, you know, and just floating, if you want more of that sense of movement, it's okay. I mean, maybe we'll stick with it. We'll see what we get here. And the hand would be here, like that, and then the other hand's going to be, I think, off the page. But we'll start there. I've got my handy dandy fish book here with me as well, my animal book with fishes that we can use. And so I figured I'll draw, and I'm getting my fish. I'm just flipping through my Dover book, see if I can find some cool fish that would go with this. Just need a little bit of fish reference first before I dive too deep into it. I just want to get a sense of the body shape of her tail. Oh, eel's kind of interesting. Flying fish. does feel long. I often don't think of freshwater fish. I usually think of saltwater fish. I like what's happening on the tail end of that anglerfish there. That's kind of nice. We used this one last time. There's lionfish, which I've used before. Oarfish I've used before. This is nice. The stargazer has a really cool tail. That may not be, ooh, look at that right there. That might be our fish. So this is a 1075. It's unidentified, but that is, it's almost like a dragonfish. I'm going to go with that and see if we can make that happen. So I'm going to move that over here. It's just out of camera range, but it's right next to me. The old Dover book. So I know. I think Jason Stone said an anglerfish. I'd be cool to do an anglerfish style mermaid. A mermaid that maybe has the hair has glowing appendages that she uses to lure other fish. So I'm just going to add these dorsal fins and might change this. Well, it's interesting. You could do this and this. I like that. That's actually kind of nice. And let's see. So her center line's actually here. And then she'd have another here. And then what I like is the tail is it's a paddle tail. It's non-traditional fish tail, which is kind of cool. So we'll start there. It's got a really interesting scaling on this fish. It'd be interesting to see what kind of fish this really is. What I love when I look at these old Dover wood, they're essentially woodcut prints, super fine etched wood drawing, made, wood blocks. I love looking up. I get so used to, looking at these black and white wood engravings that, which is great for drawing because it helps break it down into value and tone. And then it's really neat to look it up and see what these things actually look like in color. I'm feeling pretty good about this. I'm gonna focus on her face and her head a little bit here. And let's see if I can get that going. The head's really forward. I'm gonna guess her trapezius is up pretty high with her nose. A lot of chin, which is really nice. Her ears here, and I don't know if we'll keep it an ear or if I'll make it a fin. Get rid of that line. Nose, mouth. It's a little sharp. Take that down a little bit. It's a little sharp. That's better. So let me just get the face locked in, and then I'll feel. And I am a little rusty. I was on the computer really most of the day working on the that color study for the Kenny box set. So I'm a little not as loose as I'd like to be. Get that, and then you've got the whole. And then I love that she's looking up. It's kind of cool. Okay, it's rough. It's not quite right. I'll adjust it as I go, just to try to get some of that sense of what's going on. Alfonso asks if anyone else has a hard time drawing mermaids not in profile. Alfonso, it's really about, this is why I switched and I returned to MerMay, and also why I was sharing these underwater dancing photographs, because I thought that would help kind of break that, because it is so, in general, profiles can be easier for some to draw, and that's okay. But I think if you want to expand your ability to be able to draw figures in more dynamic poses and stuff, looking at these kind of photographs is terrific. Now, I have a lot of great photo reference books for artists of figures posing, But because we have so many younger children kind of watching the live streams, I've kind of held off on using these books because traditionally most artist models are not wearing anything because you want to be able to see all the musculature and stuff. So to keep it a family friendly show, I've held off on showing some of those, but I can certainly show covers and titles of books. So here I've kind of got a face that's working, not bad. Zoom in on it a little bit so you guys kind of see what's going on here. As I start to move in, I'm going to kind of work my way through it. I'm going to look at my fish reference. Now, the fish has just all these cool shapes and forms on it, which I'd love to try to integrate into it. So I'll see if I can and how I will do that. A lot of horns, actually, so it'd be kind of interesting to... So I'm just going to try... a couple forms like this on the face just to see if it works. As I said, though, I'm rethinking the whole idea that maybe mermaids breathe air from the surface, and they would have to come back to the surface to fill their lungs, and that their lungs have this incredible capacity. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I want to give her like a big round ear, like that, or whether I want to make it kind of a, it's always great doing this kind of a fin ear because it's almost like an elf ear. But then a lot of people do that sort of ear. I do love a fan ear. Maybe it's a fan. I mean, if she was rising, chances are the fin would collapse and would be very small right now, like almost like this as she's rising, right? Like that would make the most sense. It'd actually probably be down if it was like a fin. Emily C. Martin. Yes, I can definitely put them on the... I could definitely list some of the books on the group after I'm done. So I'm drawing and I'm glancing up. Yes, if you're joining us later than usual, Angela and Soph are delivering bouquets of flowers to some people today. Sophia made a bouquet of flowers for Ange for Mother's Day, and Angela loved it. She posted a photo of it. She got a lot of comments about it, and Soph literally just picked wildflowers and stuff from our yard, and so they got the idea to create a bouquet and sell them for a few bucks, and then the money would go to the barn that Sophia rides at to help feed the horses. So that's what they're out doing right now. She got out of school early today. She had a half day, and she's almost done with school. So I hope everybody's doing well. We had, if you missed us, if you don't catch us every day, maybe you missed the message, but we didn't go live yesterday. The CEO of Simon & Schuster, Carolyn Reedy, passed away unexpectedly, and it was kind of, to be honest with you, it was an off day already for me. I was a little tired. Probably like all of you, watching the news, and I'm a little bit confused, for lack of a better word, of opening. The many states are opening up, and I'm also seeing that some states are now becoming, because they maybe weren't necessarily following the social distance guidelines as strictly. Now that some of the states are starting to really have their set of problems as the cases rise. And, it's one of those things where, I think like for any of us, the news can really just have such a deep impact. So I think between that and the combination of learning that this incredible powerhouse of a woman who had led Simon and Schuster for many years, including through the recession, had passed. I just wasn't feeling up for drawing, and I needed to get some of the comp work done on the Kenny box set for the art director, because she was getting ready to actually go on vacation for a few days, so it just didn't work out. But I have Ange and I have talked, and we've noticed that the viewership numbers have definitely gone down. And not that we do this for numbers by any means, but it tells me that people are probably starting to return to, their lives. They're getting, this is the middle of the day. I know kids will be out of school for most parts of the country until the end of the school year. But many people are going back, and so we are starting to look at how much longer we want to go, live daily. I think I'd like to continue going live, but I think it comes to a point where we really did it as a thing where we were all stuck at home, and we wanted to be able to create something to take your minds off of everything that's going on. So I'm not sure. We're just starting. I'm being completely honest with you. We're not quite sure how or when we're going to do it. We may go to the end of May and then go once a week. I don't know, because I've loved doing this and I love the interaction. And so I'm not quite sure, but I think, if you've got ideas too, let me know by all means. Sorry, I've been drawing the rest of the fish here and you guys can't see. Let me zoom it out. It's not letting me do it. There it goes. Post it in the comments and Ange and I will take a look and kind of see. But, I've loved drawing and I love the interaction, so I don't want that to go away. I think it's just a matter of the day-to-day. And to be honest, I've scheduled Zoom calls around the 3 to 4 o'clock range. We do it because Soph's out of school, so that there's no one really streaming at the same time. And I'm happy to do it all, but I think as people are starting to try to get back to a little bit of what life was like before this pandemic affected us, it could be that this has done its job, we'll say. Oh, thank you guys. You guys are fantastic. I'm glancing at the comments as they're zipping by. I think we'll probably go till the end of May. I'm happy to do it. I said I would stick to it for you guys till things started to kind of get back on track. And they are or they aren't, depending on who you ask. So I'm just kind of filling this out to see. She's kind of like kind of seeing how this will look, and then I'll take a quick break and answer. If you got any questions, I'll try to answer any questions you may have. I had one. Let me bring one up before I take questions that came up. It came up a few weeks ago, and when I was working on the Kenny and the Dragon floor display and I was painting on Instagram, there were some pretty good questions that came up, and I've gotten a few emails. I get emails on this one a lot, and it was self-publishing versus publishing and the pros and cons. And I've had a few people contact me over the course of the last few months. Like I'm self-publishing a book, can you give me advice? And, or, or do you think I should take this book to a mainstream publisher? What's the benefits of self-publishing versus working with a publisher? And I would say I've never self-published to the level of a press run big enough to say put on Amazon. I have only done very small minor press runs of like my sketchbooks for I think the most I've done is 500, and those were primarily sold at conventions and appearances. And then I've also sold them wholesale to various outlets like Noble Knight Games or Stuart Ing, who I've posted many times on the site before and on Facebook before, who carry stuff. But before I dive deep, like look at the solid nature of her torso and her arms and everything. You really get a sense of it. Now you can see I drew her head bigger because I tend to do that with a lot of them. She's a little more cartoony than accurate. But you can see here how the inspiration of a photo can really help create a believable pose. I'm going to switch poses on this and jump to another one while we're talking about self-publishing. And so there's different things about it. And Penny asked if I'm going to make another sketchbook. I've got a couple. I'd like to do one, Penny. Actually, I'd like to do one with all the sketches we've done while on quarantine, like a lot of the drawing. How about that? That's so cool. Like a mermaid, like just dancing and playing in the water. It's such a strong pose. So let's try that one. I mean, here's a very traditional pose. It's also profile. Now, Alfonso said something about non-profile. Golly, I did pick all profiles. Oh, I can maybe make this a 3/4 view. I might be able to turn her head a little bit and make it more 3/4, and then maybe we can make it work. And in fact, it is in some ways. Let me zoom in on the photograph here, the printout. So her center line, actually the seam is perfect. So her center line's here, her bust is here, her ribs are here, her arm, you can definitely see, but her head is turned mostly profile. There's the back of her head. So let me see what I can do, though. I might be able to push her pose a little bit and make it a little more Nautilus. That's a great idea, Eduardo. I'm going to leave that for you to do. And let me see what I can come up with here. Anyway, I'm going to get back to the self-publishing. So, I think for many, it really depends on what your goal is in making a book. Do you just want to make a book just to make it? I mean, we went to an exhibition some years ago that toured of Edward Gorey's art. And Edward Gorey was constantly making books, not just the books we all know and love. He was making books and printing them all the time. Some he was self-printing. Now, a lot of those little tiny books are actually being printed now, and you can get them. But they started out as little tiny books that he was getting printed, I'm guessing, at a local, print shop and selling. And it's very different than where we are now, where, because of the internet, we can actually send our files to China and have our book professionally, printed and published, and created in a way and manufactured in the same way that a real publisher or a huge publisher might do. Let me see how I want to. Oh man, it would be kind of almost like that, Just wondering what would be like if I'm trying to take this and maybe, I don't know, or curl it even more. So let's see here. I want to think of the fish with that line that goes down the middle, that lateral line. Just want to see. I mean, I could just end it here. I mean, and that would work. Doesn't have to be long, but I do love. Yeah, maybe I could. Just using lines. Ooh, I like that. I like if she had these really long. The other thing I was thinking out, Soph had one of those beta fish, and they had such cool fins because they these really, it's almost like fabric where these really long fins, and they'd be just slightly tattered on the edges, and they could almost be like, I mean, they could go on. You could pretty much draw any shape you want. I've done that. I've thought about that for almost like sleeves, where the mermaids almost have these kind of a fin like this. That's like a sleeve, and the arm comes out of it. Be kind of a cool, like a billowy. And then she's got this hair. I'm getting there. And then I will get back to my point with self-publishing. Anyway, I was thinking that, you know, it really depends. If you want your book to be, if you want to sell, you know, lots and lots of copies, enough to eventually make a living, you have to work with a big publisher. There's so few instances of self-publishing success stories. I think of like Aragon as one that comes to mind. So Christopher Paolini self-published Aragon originally and went out schools and sold that book by hand. And it was only when, I want to say maybe Carl Hyacint's son, some known author's son saw the book and read the book, and that's how Aragon was discovered. I think that's the story I heard. Anyway, but you also, when you're working with a huge publishing company, you get their marketing and their advertising dollars, and you get their co-op money, which is money they spend, you know, to place your book in a Barnes and Noble, or so that if your book, you know, you walk into a Barnes and Noble and, you know, you see that what we call the waterfall in the back of the store in the children's book section. It's that wall with all the books on it. That's called the waterfall. That's all paid for. That's not just random staff picks. It may have been at one point, but it isn't anymore. It's all paid for to have your book put in that place. And so those are some of the benefits in working with a real, I don't want to say a real publisher, but a, you know, mass publisher versus self-publishing, where you're just putting your book on Amazon and hoping that people will find it. That's a tall order. There's millions of books on Amazon, you know, and you're competing against everybody else who is publishing with one of the big publishing houses. So I just wanted to bring that up because I've had a couple inquiries about, you know, publishing. If you just want to make a book for the sake of making a book, for the fun of it, then that might be, you know, self-publishing may be the way to go. And truth be told, I've seen some terrific, people have used the iPhoto on Mac, where you can take your photos and make a little book. Ange did that for years. We were doing those as like photo albums of Sophia. Scott Fisher did a terrific one with his wife Teresa's artwork. He made basically a little coffee table book of her art, and it was terrific. So that I think it's really what you hope to accomplish with your book. So things to think about. Alfonso, I hope you like this. I'm turning, you can see I've turned. Her face is more profile. It's pretty much a profile, and I'm turning it. I'm not only tilting it down, but I'm tilting it slightly towards us a little more. So I hope this you like that. Anyway, Maria wants to know who's the photographer that took this photo. Maria, I've been using photographs by multiple photographers with the caveat that these are only as exercises. There's no money exchanging hands here. I'm by no means a copyright lawyer, but the general understanding is that, you know, we're just using these for exercises to draw. I Googled underwater dancers and came up with a ton of cool photos of dancers, male and female, dancing underwater. and that inspired me for new and interesting poses for MerMay. And if I was to do this for a published piece of work where I'd be making money off of it, I would either buy the rights from the photographer, which I have done before, or I would hire a photographer or try to take the photos myself, which is how I did a lot of the photo reference in the original Spiderwick Field Guide. I had a lot of people come and pose for the various creatures. So this is really just being, showing you how, how I would go about kind of getting inspired to draw different and unique mermaid poses, or any poses for that matter. I do this a lot. I try to pose. I'll either pose in the mirror and do a drawing, or I use the on my Mac tabletop. It has the photo booth feature, so you can take a photo of yourself. And so a lot of times I'll pose in a pose and then just quickly print that out so that I can have reference. But sometimes I'll Google the emotion I'm trying to draw just to see if there's a really well-known gesture or pose that conveys the emotion or the movement that I'm trying to convey. So say, for instance, if you had to draw someone sneaking, I might do my version of a sneak and take photo reference, but I might also Google, person sneaking and just see what kind of pictures come up, just to get ideas as well, if that makes sense. Craig Austin, what is an album cover that I'm really in love with the art? That's a great question, and I have posted album cover art in my presentations for art students and on the museum tour for my retrospective and stuff, because being a kid of the 70s and obviously a teenager in the 80s, album artwork was really influential on me, especially in the 70s when there was a lot of illustration being used, and there's a lot of terrific artwork that was done. Probably some of the earliest artwork that I remember that I was enamored with was albums from the early 1970s. My parents listened to a lot of pop and rock, so it would have been a lot of singer-songwriter style music. And I think of Cat Stevens' Tea for the Tillerman had a really terrific little vignette of the old guy having tea in the woods, I want to say. The Pure Prairie League had an old Norman Rockwell painting of an old cowboy listening to records. Obviously, the Beatles had amazing artwork. Surprisingly, Sgt. Pepper was in our house, and I remember it, but I think it was actually Revolver and the pen and ink drawings on Revolver that spoke to me more than Sgt. Pepper's. Someone mentioned the band Yes, and that's the Dean brothers. And so Roger Dean and Alan Dean did amazing album artwork for Yes, and also later for the band Asia. Had that great dragon. But the stuff that really, sticks with me even to this day was, you guys, it's no secret, I love Elton John's music, and he had a couple great albums with illustration art on them. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road had the famous painting kind of him stepping into the poster, and that was illustrated by Ian Beck, who is actually on Facebook, and I've been able to connect with, and that's pretty amazing. And then Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy was Elton's autobiographical album that he did in mid-70s. And that had artwork by a man named Alan Aldridge. And Alan was almost like a psychedelic artist, and he did the Illustrated Beatles Lyrics, which was a huge book and pretty terrific. He had worked with a lot of bands. He'd worked with Rolling Stone. He'd worked with Andy Warhol. I mean, he had done a lot of pretty amazing stuff. So it doesn't surprise me that he was tapped to illustrate an Elton John album, especially at the peak of Elton's career. And it's just an amazing piece of artwork. It's like a Hieronymus Bosch painting of Elton's life and life in the music industry, especially as Elton kind of becomes the rocket man, so to speak, this over the top rock star, glittery glam rock star, and his songwriting partner Bernie Taupin kind of remains this this kind of homespun, salt of the earth poet living out in the West. It's the two people couldn't be more unlikely duo. But those albums, I do remember those. I remember, listening to Pink Floyd and The Wall and looking at the artwork on that. That would have been Gerald Scarfe, I believe, who did the artwork for that. And so a lot of that stuff just it was a big switch to photography. I feel like in the 80s, I feel like there a lot of bands had photography, but there were exceptions to the rule. The band The Cars used Alberta Varga for one of their album covers. I want to say maybe Candy O. H.R. Giger did, I want to say he did a Blondie album cover, if I'm not mistaken. Frank Frazetta did a Molly Hatchet album cover, which is pretty amazing. Well, either he did that or they licensed the existing artwork. I'm trying to think of what other... the Diamond Dogs album cover, going back to the 70s, for David Bowie's Diamond Dogs, is also an amazing piece of artwork. And when the Bowie exhibition was traveling, we got to see that. And when we were in Paris at the time. I was doing research for a book called Diva and Flea that was written by Mo Willems that took place in Paris. And we had gone to the Musée d'Orsay, we had gone to the Louvre, and we knew that this David Bowie exhibition was there, and we had missed it when it was in America, so we decided to go. And we were all just so blown away by this exhibit. It was such an unbelievable exhibition. And no photography was allowed, which in some ways was really cool because I really could just sit and enjoy every aspect of this immersive exhibition. But the original album art for Diamond Dogs was there, and it was so cool to see the original painting. I'm sure it's probably online. If you're not familiar, he's like a sideshow carnival oddity with his half dog body, half Ziggy Stardust body. But I definitely feel like by the 80s, a lot of the artwork seemed to diminish. Didn't see it as much. Patrick Nagel doing Duran Duran for Rio was pretty iconic. But I think with music videos and the popularity of music videos, and that I think all those musicians realizing that they were no longer just a voice coming out of a speaker. They had to be a personality and a recognizable face. Also was reflected in the packaging of their music with albums, and so you began to see a big switch to photography. That was a long-winded. Craig Austin, you love the art on the Boston albums, Pink Floyd albums, and now Clutch. Yeah, Clutch, and even the Black Keys had that cool Fabergé egg kind of on their first album. That was great. Now it's about probably, I guess, a JPEG that looks good on iTunes and pops. I met with the art director, 3 or 4 years ago for Capitol Records, and wasn't brought in samples. The art director knew my work. We were able to. They had contacted my manager for a project, and my manager thought of me, and I couldn't do it, but I really wanted to meet with the art director at Capitol Records, and so I did, and we talked about doing album art because it was something I would absolutely love to do. Kadir Nelson, who I've mentioned before, who I think is one of the greatest living illustrators alive, American illustrators right now, and he's done everything an illustrator would dream. The things you go to art school and dream of doing, Kadir has done. He's done books, he's done magazine covers, he's done stamps, and he did Drake's album cover. He did one of he did Michael Jackson's posthumous album cover. So the album that came out right after Michael passed away, and his work on album art is just terrific. He's just such a talented guy. But I really wanted to try to do an album. I would loved to have done an album for someone, but it hasn't happened. And I don't know that it will, but it's okay. I think, I grew up in an era of vinyl and interfacing with music in a much different way than how we interface with music today. It's I saw CDs and the packaging change, and now it's just and then it's iTunes and things like that, and now I don't even think I think it's just Apple Music. You don't have to own it. You just pay for a subscription and you have whatever you want, and it doesn't really matter so much what the artwork is, which is a real shame, because I do think that that packaging really had the really thought out packaging really did something. It really took it. You were put on those headphones and listen to the music and kind of disappear a little bit, and all you had was this little bit of packaging that they had provided to give you clues and a page of lyrics. It was just really different experience than it is now. Elizabeth says there's a huge comeback for vinyl in the UK. There is here in the States, Elizabeth. In fact, Barnes & Noble, which is like your Waterstones, or our Waterstones, has a huge vinyl section in it. And so I think there is an appreciation for it, but I don't know that it'll ever be mainstream. I could be wrong. I mean, stranger things have happened, but I don't know if it'll ever quite be what it once was. I mean, I think you may have certain artists who are like, I want to release my album, in a vinyl in the full 1970s or 1980s package with the, an album that folds open with the lyrics and photos and artwork. But I'm going to guess that those types of artists are few and far between. I mean, I could see someone like Lady Gaga doing that because she is such a throwback to the older music that she grew up on. But I don't know if, a lot of contemporary musicians will do that. So I'm kind of just, you see, I've been working on this pose, kind of, coming through. I haven't figured out the markings yet. I'm looking at my fish book that's right here next to me, see if something really stands out. Sometimes I don't know until I know. The other thing I was thinking was this tail kind of just, I think it's just I think it's like a beta. I was mentioning a beta earlier, and I almost think of her like a beta. And I also think of markings and spots. So I almost wonder, be interesting if her, I'm looking at bands and spots. I mean, almost like these kind of spots on her. I might take some of these and finish these. We'll kind of see. But even around on her chest, I would almost make them just be like spots that kind of radiate out from her. I don't know. See what you guys think. Yeah, David Howe, Roger Dean all the way, man. There's a great Roger Dean book that I've had since high school that's worth tracking down. Let me see if I can grab it for you. It's got some really terrific artwork in it. Roger Dean. Yeah, if you don't know, we've been talking about Roger Dean, and yes, this is I've had this since high school. There you go. Look, I mean, we're talking about spots and these kind of markings. You can almost see it right here in the fairy, or I'm sorry, in the mermaid. Yeah, his color sense was terrific. The way he thought. Let me see. Yeah, there's a mermaid there. He's done one. That's pretty cool. This book was just mind altering. You know, it's just really, it just blew my mind looking at this. So this is all they're doing the work for the tour. This is the band Yes on tour. So they were making this completely interactive stage with, you know, weird organic shapes that light up. So interesting. So when I get to some of their actual artwork, I thought this was cool. They were taking photographs and just painting on photographs. Just so cool. Anyway, yeah, here's the Asia stuff they did for Asia. Great book. I don't know if it's in print any longer, but Magnetic Storm was a pretty big one for me growing up. I got it in high school. Let me see if I got a year on when this was pubbed. 1984, published over in Britain. Don't know if it's in print anymore, but it's a great little book that really just showcases some outstanding, you know, artwork. Man, their color sense is crazy. Yeah, look at that. They're building the actual stuff. Pretty amazing. Anyway, that's a good one. So yeah, we were talking about Yes. That's a good goodie. I'm going to try to scribble one more quickie before I sign off. Anybody else has any questions? I'll try to answer them. But the album was good. Yeah, it definitely had a huge K-pop. I could see K-pop. Someone mentioned K-pop albums having a lot of art. I could see that. They're terrific. Jellyfish Mermaid, Craig Austin says, that's a great idea, Craig. Let me see if I can find... I've got really good jellyfish reference. Let me see if the current book I have here will give it to me so I don't have to go pull another book. Sea cucumber would also probably be kind of interesting. Starfish. I got a little bit of jellyfish reference in this book. Let me see what I can do. Here's what I've got, and it's kind of Ernst Haeckel. Ash, you could almost make that like a dress, like a skirt. Let me see if I can make it work, as Tim Gunn would say. Make it work, Tony. Hit one more pose from our photos here. And you know, I feel a little embarrassed that I didn't check out who the photographer's name. I think I was in such a mad dash to print these off for you guys so you could just think about the same kind of idea of just typing in underwater dancers to get your reference for mermaids that I didn't even think to get the photographers' names, but we'll figure that out. Okay, another quick one. I'm just going to do it fast. Let's see, now I'm a little more warmed up. Let me see if I can... Again, the same thing with these... I like this because it's all this cinching. So her, you know, she's crunched, her hips are here, so there's all this great, and then this is all stretched way out, which is really nice. So her ribs, you know, would be like this. And then her arm, hand, and this arm's extended, and then here, and then you could see I'm exaggerating her neck. Her bust is more like that. And then let me see if I can... Well, again, like I'm almost like this and then this. And this is almost like the bell. oh, I could really, I'm going to cinch it in way on her chest or on her hip, our waist, right before her hips, and then flare out her chest, and then push her hips way out. So you get that nice kind of exaggerated hourglass. I think I'm going to put this hand this way. I like that better. So you can see I'm almost looking, I'm kind of searching for strong silhouettes too. So whoever said jellyfish, you're onto it. This is a cool idea. Because jellyfish have all these little lines that kind of, if you look at them up close, you can almost follow all these lines into almost like a corseted top. That'd be kind of cool. Just going to push this out. And then the idea of these kind of tendrils, I might have to go find better jellyfish reference than what I've got here, but I do think there is something in that. Let me see if I can get her face. I like Jellyfish Mermaid. Great idea. She's in the profile, but let me see if I can. Man, she's got such a distinct profile. Let me see if I can actually try to capture that a little bit. I haven't done life drawing. I was so good about it. It's like exercise, I guess, like anything else. I was so diligent about life drawing. I used to go once a week when we lived in New York, and when we moved here, I've started off and on a few times at various places that offer it here in town, but I just haven't done it, and I feel rusty. Just trying to get that. It's so tricky to get that very delicate. Oh, she's actually looking down. Let me see if I can get her. Something like that, right? You kind of see where I'm. I don't know, there's something there. Put a little shading on her. Kind of see. The other thing I would do if I was, I'm using these for strong, heavy reference. If I was going to take these to finish at a certain point, I would put the reference away and draw from memory. So I would do a study, like I'd sit here and learn what her neck muscles are doing. Her clavicle right here is going like this, really kind of figuring it all out. And then I would put this away and put this away and draw the whole thing again from memory so that it would be less like a stiff photograph. Because despite the movement these photographs have, it's still very posed. And I want a lot of movement and kind of spontaneity and gesture in my sketches. So these are really, like I said, real exercises. They're really just about just kind of getting my brain thinking on different ways to approach drawing mermaids in celebration of MerMay. Let me see if I can just kind of, it would almost be interesting to have the hair also. You can almost put tendrils in the hair, would be almost interesting. Anyway, yeah, I love the idea of, I've looked at unconventional sea creatures before. I used the spiny lobster for the mermaid in the Spiderwick Field Guide. But, I just wanted to do this for today, give you guys kind of something to think about if you're participating in MerMay. Let me grab. I'll grab some of the figure drawing books that I use that might inspire you too. Yeah, so it's pretty much as I thought. I can't even show the covers because if we have kids watching, they're more for the college student. However, I can show you this. This was my textbook for college. Was Bridgman was a teacher for Howard Pyle and a lot of the Brandywine artists. This was my my book in art school that I used. I copied almost every illustration out of this book in my 20s. So Bridgman is a huge, if you're really thinking about figure drawing just seriously and you want to improve, Bridgman is a great one. The other one you guys might be interested in, let me grab one more here that you guys might really like. And I can post these later too on the group. Oh, there they are. Here's two more books that might totally get you super stoked. These books have been out of print for years, but they've put them back in print by Andrew Loomis. So there's Andrew Loomis, Figure Drawing for All It's Worth, and Andrew Loomis, Drawing the Head and Hands. These books, like I said, had been out of print, and they've been brought back into print. And so this is a great accompaniment to the Bridgman stuff. Loomis was, I think, primarily an advertising artist in the 40s and the 50s, as evidenced by this. But again, if you were just copying out of these books, you're going to learn so much, and really, really inspiring. He was terrific, using photo reference, but had a clear understanding, obviously, of anatomy and proportion. The Figure Drawing for All It's Worth has also just, it goes into anatomy and muscles, but it goes into gesture and figure. Really terrific stuff. Great artist. Really good stuff. Very inspiring. I mean, these were reissued in 2011. They originally came out in 1943. So there you go. Hopefully they're still in print. Like I said, they're great books. I'll post information on these. And I'm guessing the old Bridgman book's probably still in print too. This is such a classic. I want to say actually Dover has it in print. But he was just such a master. Even Rockwell was a big fan of Bridgman as well. Just a great, great artist. And so hopefully that'll inspire you. And hopefully some of the other stuff I did today kept you entertained and inspired. And I hope you guys are all well. Let me do the junk pot before I forget. Now Ange usually is reading and watching all the names, which is great. Let me see if I think I got one. I just glanced at to see. So today's winner of the junk pot is Michael Harbour. Michael Harbour, I hope you're doing well. Thanks for participating today. And congratulations on the junk pot. I will get you some. I will have printed out some photo reference for you for mermaids that I'll send, and a mermaid sketch to boot. And I thank you guys all for tuning in. Michael, please send me a direct message with your mailing address, and I will send out your junk pot. Ange will be back tomorrow, and it will certainly be, I'm sure, a much livelier stream because she'll be here. Until then, I hope you guys are doing well, and be safe, hang in there, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.